What's the taskmaster?
Are they Adam's rib or some other kind of rib?
I don't know.
Just we had a meeting earlier today, and Commissioner Creighton she was dressed and she had a totally white jacket. What do you call it? A jacket? What would you call that?
This is a jacket.
A jacket, and then she judged ribs.
And no, I have nothing on my white.
Oh,
This is what I wore this morning.
Those splotches aren't from the ribs.
You're gonna have a splotch.
No, from the blood from your gun.
Thanks, Joe.
Always there for you.
There you go. That's right.
Paint action.
You got it. Are we ready?
We are on the record.
Okay, good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, July 30, 2014. This is the 1:30 p.m. meeting of the commissioners. All three commissioners are present, along with Gene Young, our clerk, and Brant Luther, our administrator. We will start today's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item of business is to take a look at our agenda. Do we have any amendments today, Gene?
No.
Brant? No. So our amendment stands as written. Item 3, public speaks. Do we have any public speakers today?
Would you guys run Tim off when I was gone?
You haven't seen him for about 2-3 weeks.
2 weeks, I'm not sure. Martin keeps coming back for public speaks, though. There being no public speakers, entertain a motion to approve the board minutes of July 23.
So moved.
Second.
A motion, a second to approve the board minutes of July 23. Are there any additions or corrections? Mr. Regular? we had to fix minutes this morning of a CIC meeting, by the way, in which he was referred to throughout the entire set of minutes as Mr. Regular.
I guess when she was typing them up, the spell check thing kept adding the R. So, I'm just a regular guy.
And your new name, Commissioner Creighton, would be?
Poodle.
Poodle. All right. Okay. We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Going to today's business, I think the first thing we want to get done would be to jump to Rick's portion of the agenda. We have 2 items associated, 2 resolutions associated with the computer-aided dispatch system. And we have a bunch of people. This would be Joe Concattos and the CAT team. And since we want to get them all back to work, by the way, so they can save lives through dispatch, fire, and whatever else you guys are up to, we'll just move this to the front of our agenda and get this done. Rick, if you would introduce it.
The first item is the board is requested to award the computer-aided dispatch and mobile dispatch bid to the lowest and best bidder, New World System Corporation, a Michigan corporation, in accordance with the terms of the software and service agreements. This bid would be for a total amount of $1,907,736.
And if you would, why don't you break down your last resolution, portion of that resolution actually indicates the breakdown of that bid.
Cost for the licensing and implementation will be in the amount of in an amount not to exceed $1,407,416. The cost of the 6-year prepay maintenance, including the discount that was received because of prepaying it, will be in an amount not to exceed $499,320. And then the cost of an annual source code escrow fees in an amount not to exceed $1,000 for the first year.
I would move to adopt a resolution for the contract award for the purchase of computer-aided and mobile dispatching software licensing and maintenance.
Second.
We have a motion and second discussion. Chief Concattos.
Just, it was not a lowest and best bid. It was a proposal for competitive sealed bids. Just so you know, it wasn't necessarily the lowest and best. It was, and the bid came out by state law. We could have done it. We bid it that way. And again, it was called a proposal for competitive sealed proposals.
I'm sorry, was that part of the resolution? Or,
well, you had stated it was the lowest and best.
Yeah.
No, it's not part of our resolution,
No, it's
or
not
is it?
part.
I'm sorry.
No.
No.
No, okay, fine.
Sorry, just wanted to make sure we understood that.
And Joe, if you would, really, I know you brought your CAD project team with you today, but again, for the edification of everyone and the media here that covers these kinds of stories, why don't you introduce your team? Why don't you again give us a brief history of this, and I guess maybe first and foremost, tell us what a CAD is.
I'm not sure yet, but we'll probably let you know better a year from now. I know what it is. But I thank you for that, and I would introduce what we call our CAD project team. Mark Busto from the Red Center, Jamie Wood from the Red Center, Captain Freeman from Canton Communication Center, Division Chief Whitlatch from the City of Canton, Canton Communication Center, Dean McKim from Canton Communication Center, and Bruce McAllister. They're sitting together from the Sheriff's Office. This CAD project team, believe it or not, has been in place. Most of us have been in place since 2010. In April of 2010 is when we put out a request for qualifications for a consultant to help us not only design the RFP for this project, but to also follow this project through to the end. We went through a number of different interviews on that, and at the end of that, we picked RCC consultants. The consultant was Leo Berbelis, and we put them under contract about a year after that. So this project team was involved in that. Once we got the consultant on board, we started to design the request for competitive bids with the help of the project team. We had designed the RFP. Leo Berbelis was very instrumental in the design of that request for bids. It ended up being about 160 pages of specifications that we had designed for this CAD. Leo came in. He interviewed with the Stark County Fire Chiefs, with the Stark County Police Chiefs. He interviewed with most of the dispatch centers. He interviewed with our CAD project team, with county officials, so that we could input into this RFP everything that we needed, that we thought would be good for a countywide CAD system. So this over time took time and some other hurdles that we had to go through. But finally, in October of 2012, the request was advertised for bids at that time. At that time, we ended up receiving 13 vendors that wanted the RFP. In other words, they wanted to look at it. We had did an addendum to that in November, sent that addendum out to the 13, and on January 17th, we opened bids, and there was 9 vendors that bid on our CAD system. Just for the sake of documentation and for you, TAC Computers is a computer system here in town. They did get the RFP. They got the addendum. We know they got that. They did not bid. Now I have gotten some email from them stating that they have a product they want to introduce, but they had their opportunity. We gave them that opportunity, and they did not. Maybe the RFP was too much for them. So once we got the nine bidders, the CAD project team then took one of us took each one of the bidders. We looked at their qualifications. We narrowed down whether we thought that they had the qualification to do a county of 379,000. We looked at their references. We narrowed that down to, I think, 3. And then we demoed them. Once we narrowed them down, they came in and did a 8-hour demo on their product. We looked at that demo and finally came to the result of New World Systems. This all took a lot of time, a lot of their time. I'm retired, so it wasn't so much mine, but it really took their time out of what they were doing on a daily basis and their communication center and the people that they work for to be able to do this. I think we were very successful in picking New World Systems.
I think also, by the way, in addition to the 9 that submitted the proposals, you also looked at the state CAD system.
We did.
In addition to that.
During this process, we found out that the state, through their MARC system, the multi-agency radio system, that they were looking to put a state CAD system in. Similar to the MARC's radio system, that there would be one radio system for everybody in the everybody in the state. However, they have not done that. There is no we were going to be the first. We did demo their CAD vendor, which was Premier One. They came in and did a demo for us. It was a good demo. We had no problems with the demo. However, there was some connectivity issues that we had to deal with between here and the state. We had the issue of taking our 911 calls and them going to the state and then coming back here. We had some issues with mapping to make sure we could maintain a mapping system that could be updated on a daily basis. And probably one of the biggest things was we really didn't want to be the beta site for this. We really didn't want to be the only municipality that was a part of their CAD system. Their CAD system was basically and is basically designed for their state highway patrol and some of their state departments. So we just vetted it, and it was very close to looking at. I mean, we looked at it and it was very close, but we had decided that right now we think we're better off with a system within the county. So we did vet that out, and we determined to still go with New World Systems. Once we did determine that New World Systems was the vendor, they did send us a contract and a statement of work. Leo Berbelis and myself looked over that in the CAD project team, but we left that mostly up to Leo because that was one of his main responsibilities, was to look at this contract. Again, it was a competitive bid. It was a bid that we could negotiate with them. It wasn't lowest and best, but one that we could sit down at the table. And we did that. We did that a number of times in the last 3 or 4 months, and we got it down to the contract that's sitting right there. We reduced our maintenance costs. We reduced the initial costs. We put in things, and David Breitenstein, also from the county, your legal advisor for this project, got involved heavily with it, and we made sure that the legal language was what he wanted to protect the county. So we went through all of that and got that done, and again, out of many, many hours and days and months and years, there it sits. That's not only a CAD system, but it's a mobile data computer system also. So we'll have the ability now to connect. When that 911 call comes in, we have the ability now to see that CAD in the dispatchers and any mobile data terminal that's connected out there in a police cruiser or a fire truck. We'll be able to communicate with them. We're interfaced with CGIS, we're interfaced with LEADS, we're interfaced with NCIC. We have included in it a interface for fire records. We'll be able to accumulate any information on any address that is out there. And for me, the most important part is we will now have dispatchers that will be looking at dispatching from a county view versus their own local view. They'll still be dispatching on a local basis. Red Center will be dispatching for Red Center, and the sheriff will be dispatching for those that he dispatches for, as will Canton. But the dispatchers will now look at it more of a county, and that's the thing that we need to do. If we ever get to the point of looking totally countywide, then we need to start looking countywide instead of our local agencies. So there's probably a lot more.
Implementation period?
Probably 9 months to a year. There's a lot of training that has to go on. We have, Commissioner Burnaby and I have been in Alliance, asking if Alliance was willing to, wanted to connect to this. And let me just say that all the dispatchers out there that are connected to the 911 system, such as Alliance, such as North Canton, Perry Police, Minerva, they all have the ability to receive this CAD because it'll flow over the same conductivity, the connectivity that they have with the 911. We're going down to Minerva, and my understanding is Minerva is highly interested in this. I think Perry Police, who does their own dispatching. So that ability is out there, and it's up to them to be able to join in. We decided to start off what we call the 3 major dispatch centers in the county, which was the sheriff and the city of Canton and the Red Center, covering approximately 300,000 of our 379,000 population. We thought we'd start there, open the door right away for anybody else that wanted to come aboard. I think Mr. Burnaby, Commissioner Burnaby, has an agreement from the city of Canton and from the Red Center both that agree to be a part of this. It'll be owned by the county. However, the city and the Red Center have agreed to pay for the maintenance along with the sheriff, along with his budget, pay for the annual maintenance. The maintenance is about roughly $500,000 for a 6-year with the first year free. Their payback will be $100,000 a year, and whatever that agreement, they'll pay it back to you, the county, who is prepaying that. If we didn't prepay it, we were probably looking at about $625,000 if we didn't prepay it. So there was a big savings there, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Burnaby, who, as you all know, is a detailed individual.
Really? The bulldog.
Bulldog. And he's been bulldogging this, and he's been doing it for a number of years, and I appreciate that. It wasn't just on the face of things. He did detail. He knows probably as much as almost as much as I know about it, but I do appreciate.
Which combined is this much.
So when you look at a commissioner that got involved and brings this to the board, he does this with a lot of hard work and knowledge that he put into understanding what it is. So,
We did, just to clarify, we did on July 3, we sent out a letter from the commissioner's office to the chief executive officer really of every political subdivision in Stark County, offering them, the availability of this CAD system and offering it to them, essentially, for free at our cost, because this is something that we commissioners want to make available. We think that will enhance the dispatch efficiency and safety to all Stark Countyans, and we are using previously set aside sales tax money for this purpose, and it is our desire as a board to make this available to anyone and everyone. That has resulted again then in meetings with Alliance to date. We've met with Hartville. We are meeting with Minerva. Joe has met with Prairie Police.
Pike Township asked me to come down.
And he's also meeting with Pike Township. So we are getting responses, throughout the county to at least take a look at this.
I don't know if I can, if the CAD project team has anything they want to add to this.
Well, since we are detail oriented, I thought we set aside enough time for each of the 6 members of the team here to speak another hour each.
I'm glad I'm done because my meter runs out here.
Man, and then we're changing what? Go ahead.
I defer to Mark.
Anyone, Chief, how's this work, Assistant Chief Willech, for the city of Canton, the fire department?
This is a big deal. It's going to work very well. And there's no jurisdictional boundaries here. We all go from one to another every day. Our families do. So this is the first step in a county-wide process that I think is critical. And so we did do a lot of work on it. I want to thank Joe for all the time he's spent on it. And there was a lot of hours put into this project. A lot of thought about it and a lot of evaluating that was proper and appropriate. So our due diligence was done, and I just hope I'm done meeting with you.
Summing up.
And Chief McKim, and I call him Chief McKim, of course, because he's a former police chief of Canton, but I guess from both, you're in charge of Canton Communications Dispatch now, but from the perspective of dispatch and from the perspective really from the police department.
Well, from my perspective, I think it's a big step forward. It represents a large step forward. And I'd like to thank Joe and yourself for your involvement and your hard work. As Joe said, it's been a long road. I think it's a big step forward. And I have to agree especially agree with one thing he said, and that is that one of the biggest things this whole project offers, is the perspective of a county-wide system. I have to really agree with that. That to me sets us up to look in the future from a countywide perspective, and I just can't emphasize that enough. How important that will be. I also want to thank all the members, my fellow members of the project team. I think they put in a lot of hours too, like Joe elaborated on. So I just think it's a nice step forward for us.
And Bruce, you of course represent the sheriff on this, and you're the technical guy also on this thing from the county's perspective and the sheriff's perspective.
Yeah, the system that we're going to be doing, I think it really fits. It fits with new technology. It's the stuff we can move ahead for several years with. Big thing, and I know we're working with Canton on being able to move our dispatchers back and forth in case of a crisis. This eliminates a lot of obstacles, because now we could literally shut down the sheriff's office and have our dispatchers walk to Canton or vice versa and sit down in a seat and actually log on and start dispatching. So those are big things, and I think that's what we're looking forward to.
And last but not least, Mark back there on the side.
Yeah, I kind
And
of,
Mark is the executive director of the Red Sox.
I kind of echo the same sentiments and comments of the project team also. It's been a longer task than I think a lot of us anticipated, but I think it's definitely worth the work that we put into it, and along with Joe and yourself taking the time to delve into something that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense to you. But from the dispatch perspective, I think it really gives us an advantage for interoperability, because we can kind of still dispatch locally, but we can still tie together the entire county. And at some point when we can kind of all get on the same page and get to that county-wide system, I think that we all desire, this is one of the stepping stones to get there. So.
One additional part of this contract, by the way, again, the contract price is $1.407 million, and that includes software licensing and hardware. But there's a hardware allowance in there for about $256,000.
Total allowance is $326, but Bruce and I, mostly Bruce, have been looking at the $254,000 part of that.
And we have the option under the agreement, which needs to be exercised in writing within 14 days. That's something
Correct.
that we want to get done, but we have the ability to purchase that on state contract if we are able to better the price and to look at alternative vendors. They have done so I think that we'll probably anticipate saving probably another, depending on which vendor they go with, $50,000 to $75,000
Yes.
on the hardware side of this purchase from that contract price. So this is an amount not to exceed the full contract price, but we anticipate that portion of this will be exercised.
And New World's been very cooperative as far as what equipment, hardware we would need to proceed with. And Bruce has been very good at when identified it. We're looking at Dell and HP. We haven't concluded yet, but we will very soon on which one of those. HP, New World usually goes with Dell, but HP gave us a better price, so we have to sit down and have that discussion a little bit more. One other quick thing is this is a redundant system. The main server will be held in the sheriff's office, and the backup server will be held in the Canton Communications Center. We're already looking, and we think we have space in both of those places, so that won't incur any cost. And we've included 20 monitors, so each one of the dispatch centers will have a new tower and monitor for the console for this CAD system. So,
No, I'm just especially pleased too about that maintenance contract, being able to, and that was really through your negotiations, correct? To get it to the 6-year with a reduced rate.
Leo's, yes.
I mean, taxpayers should be very pleased. I mean, we're expending, I think, our dollars prudently. They're dollars that were set aside. They just didn't see it as a pot of gold that everybody could just go out and spend it at the highest price. And quite frankly, I know you've used the word collaboration, but it is the poster project of collaboration in this county. And it should be held up to show others that, in fact, when you do put your mind to things, and there is devil in the detail, as I know from both of you, those are your favorite words, that truly something good comes to pass. And I think taxpayers should be happy.
And the maintenance, so you know, the maintenance agreements is updates. So as long as you maintain your maintenance, because this is a very, most of it is software. So as long as you maintain your maintenance updates and software, you will always have the most updated CAD system there is. Someday you may have to replace some hardware, but if you maintain your maintenance, you're pretty much going to always have the best CAD system out there.
And on the maintenance side of this agreement, this is essentially the first year of maintenance, because that's the implementation period, is for free. But it is a 5-year then agreement, so we will be looking at renewing that maintenance agreement, come 5 years from now for comparable amount of money plus cost of living increases, I'm sure. But that is something that's also out there. Richard?
I just want to say thank you. This has been talked about since I was here the first time, from 02 to 06, and it's taken a long while to get it together. And I want to commend my fellow commissioners for saving the money and not spending it. I'm sure there was a lot of times that there was a lot of people that wanted to. The thing that I really heard is countywide regionalism, working together. That's when I really want to credit the Red Center and the sheriff and the city of working together in a cooperative effort. It's going to be a tremendous asset for this whole region. Now, my only question is, how you guys keep coming back after working with Commissioner Burnaby for these past 4 years, especially with you, Joe.
I've been working with Commissioner Burnaby since I was an assistant chief on the fire department.
Okay, you understand him then.
I understand. I can tell him sometimes what he tells me. Where to go.
But thank you. Thanks to each and every one of you and your teams.
Where should I go? I'm sorry, for the public record.
After you vote, I can tell you.
Okay, well, again, really on behalf of all three of us, we thank everyone, and I am very much, personally aware of this is an extraordinary commitment of time and effort, on behalf of this CAD team, because they had a very detailed role. I don't know how many hours each of you put in this thing, but they put in a lot of time on this thing. It's a very complex issue. So we thank everyone. We have a motion and second on the floor. We also have one other additional item to take care of on this CAD issue, on the CAD maintenance agreements with Canton and Logic. But on this motion, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Rick, if you want to introduce the second portion of this.